So this is it, folks. This is literally what it's all going to come down to. How they are planning to wipe out a huge portion of the American population, global population, specifically starting with this East Coast or Southeastern United States diesel fuel shortage catastrophe. And we're already seeing the reports of coming in across different various outlets and other channels that are sharing this information about fuel shortages, diesel fuel rationing, increased prices, delays on fuel deliveries, and ultimately the negative impacts and consequences that these shortages are going to have on multiple different industries and businesses. Because I've been telling you folks, our economy, it's all interconnected, they're all intertwined, they all have some part in some way, some impact on others. And news reports, headlines coming out now that shortages are getting bad. Mansfield Energy reporting slow delivery in the pipelines and warning of higher prices hitting the grocery stores, and also farmers worried about higher prices as a result of higher input costs, with diesel fuel basically running farming for the most part as far as their equipment and heavy machinery and the trucks needed to move the food and the goods and the fertilizers and the seeds and all the farming equipment, everything involved with creating food, which is what I've been telling you guys about in the past, about the future of food. If you haven't seen it, go check out a recent video I uploaded about the future of food, and ultimately how food is just going to continuously become more and more expensive. And they're going to use this as a tool and a method and a means of weeding out some, eliminating others, and ultimately putting food into a hyperinflated category that we have yet to even see just how bad this can really be, as far as how expensive and costly food is going to be, and how it's going to have a huge negative impact on folks' income, their paychecks, their savings. It's going to be hitting their credit cards. Credit cards are going to be maxed out, and it doesn't even stop there, because I just got off the phone earlier today with I was actually speaking to my salesperson at Ford, because I received a text message that my Ford Lightning, my Ford F-150 Lightning, I put $100 down like a year ago. I can't even remember when. I put $100 down and put my name on the list to get a Ford Lightning, F-150 Lightning. And I got a text message that I was, now I needed to contact my dealer to or make arrangements to go ahead and place my order for this electric pickup truck, which I now have no interest in whatsoever. But at the time I was like, it's $100. Let me just put my name on the list and see if I can get one. Well, in speaking to my Ford sales person and about this F-150 Lightning and things like that, I asked him, I said, hey, I know that Ram is having some issues with selling their trucks, especially their diesel trucks. And I think it was partly due to some changes in the economy prior to, and now the compounded impacts of this diesel fuel shortage is further hurting Ram's truck sales. What do you think about that? And he says, well, I can't speak for Ram, but Ford is a little bit different, because Ford doesn't have a surplus of inventory, because Ford just can't really get the trucks made, the Super Duties completed, so that they could have them sitting on the lot facing this potential problem as a result of buyers pulling back on diesel powered trucks, which Ford was actually in a unique position, because they've continuously been trying to upgrade and enhance their gas powered Super Duty line and engine powertrain options. But he said, don't quote me on this, but I don't see diesel trucks selling like they used to in the past. It's basically what he said, and alluding to the shortage of the reserve of diesel reserves and fuel reserves, and the ongoing problems, the limited ability for refinery and conflict overseas, everything that's going on right now, I'm expecting to see probably 2 to 3 years before we can get to a point at which we really kind of know which way's up. And at that point, it may be that we're out of diesel. It may be that we are approaching the subject of green energy electric vehicles sooner than we anticipated because of some of the choices and decisions made by leaders in power, so to speak. And in the meantime, it's just going to continue to hurt our economy. Construction is pretty much built on diesel powered equipment, diesel trucks, diesel equipment. It's what construction is based off of, besides the other raw materials that go into building buildings and homes and things like that. But without it, we're going to be at a huge disadvantage. We're going to see a huge step back and be taken back and lose some valuable progress in some of the construction that was slated to happen. With that being said, some of these projects are probably going to be tabled, sidelined for a little while because of the increased cost to borrow money because of the Fed raising interest rates. So this is only just like a small piece of the puzzle that's beginning to cause such a massive ripple effect. And this is only right now, from what I'm seeing and hearing, affecting the Southeast as far as the diesel fuel supply and the diesel fuel shortages. And this hasn't hit the rest of the country or Canada. So this is becoming a big problem, and it's just the Southeast. So if this problem perhaps were to spread nationwide and further, then we're gonna be in deep shit. On top of that, we're also still potentially at risk for this railroad workers union strike, which is diesel fueled also, and it's a diesel transport, and it's a huge portion of our supply chain that would be shut down. But even still, like, if that didn't occur, you still need the trucks to transport the freight that's on the trains and the rail cars and the railway freight from their terminals to whatever distribution centers or wherever their final destinations may be. A lot of automobiles are transported through rail, and then from rail, they're put on car haulers to take to storage facilities or directly to the dealerships. So we're going to see a huge ripple here, not just in an increase in food costs, because those costs are going to go up. The input costs are going up. The transportation costs are going up. All these costs are going up. Now, is this real? I can't say for sure. I don't know. I don't have access to the reserves. I can't tell you that. But, you know, is this an opportunity for folks to capitalize on some price fixing and price increases and not labeling it inflation? It definitely is. Definitely is a possibility. And, you know, unfortunately, you and I, we are the ones that have to suffer the consequences of these choices and these decisions that we have really no control over besides, okay, well, we'll go buy an electric car. But that really only solves one particular problem, and it doesn't solve the big problem, which is even if you don't use diesel, even if you don't pay for diesel, even if you don't fill up any vehicle or equipment with diesel fuel, you still use it. You still need it. You still pay for it in somehow, some way, through some other translation of the costs through freight, shipping, food prices, or whatever. And if we see that, then we're going to see just a further possible decline in demand, because folks just don't have the money available to make the purchases and pay the higher prices. And we could see some adverse and negative effects with folks' income and jobs. And, you know, speaking of these automotive these manufacturers and these dealerships, if you see a decline in truck sales, then you're going to see a decline in commission sales. So you're going to see buyer pullback. You got higher interest rates. It makes it more expensive to finance these vehicles with these trucks and cars and crossovers, all getting more and more expensive by the day. And folks are going to start losing their jobs. Things are going to start getting really hairy really soon. And then with that, adding to the crisis of the potential diesel shortage just being non-existent, just being wiped out altogether, just shutting down pumps. You'll see bags on pumps. You'll see the yellow bags on pumps out of service, out of fuel, out of diesel, possible rationing, limiting how many gallons you can buy, perhaps maybe even asking you what are you buying it for and justifying your reason for purchase and if they'll grant you approval to buy the fuel or not. And then you get to the grocery store only to realize that all the food prices have gone up tremendously. I mean, what more? What more do we have to endure before we get some form of reprieve? You know, it's almost like we're this unwanted stepchild that this country just kind of tossed aside and just kind of lets suffer and, fight for scraps while they take our money, our dollars, our tax dollars, our defense, our supplies, our resources, our emergency backups, and send it to other countries. They support other countries more than they support us. It's ridiculous. Now, granted, we have midterm elections coming up. Possibly we can see some changes. There's a finite amount of time on this particular administration's time in office, and if there will be a second term or not to be determined. A lot of these varying factors will come into play and ultimately decide our fate. And with that being said, it's like for the folks out there who are already struggling and have no backup plan, they have maxed out credit cards if they even have a credit card. Their income is in jeopardy, perhaps maybe just got laid off, or whatever industry they're in is heavily impacted by the diesel fuel shortage, which makes it harder or impossible for them to earn an income. We're going to see some huge pain in the economy, in personal family balance sheets. And this is all of what Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Bank Chair Jerome Powell, had mentioned a few months ago in Jackson Hole, that there was going to be pain. Businesses and families were going to feel pain. And it's coming, folks. And I really hope that a lot of you out there who are watching are listening and paying attention and have also prepared for this, because you got to think about it. Even if you've had a stockpile of supplies, even if you had a stockpile of food, for how long? How long can you live on these munitions and survive on these? But at the end of the day, every price is going to go up. Diesel fuel affects every price. And if there's a shortage of the fuel, then the demand for the fuel in relation to the limited supply will drive up the price. With the price being driven up, it will drive up the price of everything out there that we need to buy, want to buy. Everything that needs to be purchased is going to cost more. And despite the fact that you may have been prepared with canned food and canned meat and some other basic supplies and necessities, that's a finite resource. And it's not the only resource that we need on a daily basis. I mean, shoot, just even thinking about the utility costs that we pay on a monthly basis, whether it be water, electric, gas, or whatever fuel you need, all these utilities are going to go up in price, and you can't stockpile these. So I'm really hoping that everyone is really paying attention to what's going on and has been preparing themselves financially for the huge impact that we are about to feel coming. We're probably going to see it. We're going to see it continuously growing as they are setting the stage with this diesel fuel shortage, which is priming the pump to let American consumers know that prices are going up and there's nothing you can do about it. And all you can do is pay more. That's pretty much it. You can pay more or you can buy less. But a lot of these necessities you can't forego and you have to buy, like food. So they're priming the pump for this huge price increase. And maybe we see big box retailers like Target and Walmart and Amazon kind of fight to keep it at bay for the holiday season, to close out the year, hopefully in the black and not in the red, which a lot of businesses are facing massive layoffs and huge losses and major budget cuts and hiring freezes, bankruptcies, and just being closed and shut down altogether. while don't get me started on the housing market is upside down, and home values are dropping tremendously with interest rates climbing and the buyer pool being pretty much wiped out altogether, and changes to the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac lending process where they're going to start using this FICO score 10T, which is a game changer, which is basically going to like wipe out first time home buyers altogether. Altogether. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to check out the video I put up about FICO 10T. First time home buyers who perhaps maybe be teetering borderline on the edge of approval. Even with the crazy high prices of real estate and home prices that are trending downward, you still have to fight the crazy high interest rates. But with that, now getting approved for these loans that are backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're going back 24 months of credit history. So you have to be squeaky clean. And you got to think, who's been squeaky clean throughout this pandemic? So they're basically wiping out a huge portion of the population, the middle class that probably doesn't have perfect credit, while they're trying to bring down prices on homes supposedly to an affordable housing price point, while interest rates are through the roof, making more monthly mortgage payments cost more, while making it harder for folks to get approved for the loans. Does that make any sense? Is this sinking in of what's happening and what's going on? So I'm just saying all this to say that I hope you guys have been paying attention to what I've been talking about and preparing yourself for the financial hardship and the financial struggle that we are rapidly seeing approach, like literally falling out of an airplane without a parachute. Like that ground is coming up fast and you're about to land. You're about to land and you don't have a parachute, and this could hurt. I'm just hoping that you folks jumped out of this plane or fell out of this plane with a parachute on, and you have your finances in order. You have a budget. You have a plan. You have secondary and multiple streams of income. You have your side hustles. You have your passive income streams. You have your small businesses set up. You have your connections and your relationships set up with companies so that you can start bringing in revenue on the side and have backup plans, and you have investments to fall back on, and you have a stock portfolio, and you have a cryptocurrency portfolio, and you have so many different options and resources and tools readily available at your disposal, so that as these prices go up, which we know that they are because they are telling us they are going up, as these prices continue to go up, you don't get left out in the cold and ultimately forced to starve and suffer because you don't have enough money. You don't make enough money. You've lost your job. You have no backup plan. You have nothing to fall back on, and you have no idea what you're going to do besides be evicted, foreclosed on, become homeless, have to be living in your car, have food insecurities, facing poverty, all sorts of struggles and problems and catastrophes and crises that are ultimately on the horizon, that they are literally warning us about every single day on the news, in the headlines. Businesses are reporting it. Folks, this is going to get worse. It's going to get far worse than it already is now before we have any chance and possibility of it getting better. That's all I'm saying. That's all I can share with you guys. And besides that, share my concern and my commitment to you to continuously bring you guys the news and the updates and the information that I think is going to matter to you most, and provide you guys with insight, opportunities, and just ideas that can help you financially prepare yourself and protect you and your family from SHTF. SHTF, this crazy SHTF that, I told you guys was coming. The food shortage by way of Russia and Ukraine, by way of drought, by way of farmers and diesel shortages that we were already experiencing over the summer. So many different negative impacts to the economy and to our livelihood and our sustainability was going to boil down to this very moment, this very situation that we're facing, where it'll be available, but it'll be so expensive that most people can't afford it, which ultimately makes it as if it's not available. It'll make it virtually seem like the shelves are empty, that there are food shortages when you walk into these stores like Walmart, Publix, Kroger, Aldi, Lidl. It'll seem like there's nothing there because you don't have enough money to buy it. because they have raised the prices so high that they're just unaffordable.